Also, Olabi is okay. Alright, so good afternoon and welcome to this Power BI tutorial on sales analysis. So today we'll be talking about sales analysis, and these are the 4 questions we are going to be answering. The first one is to calculate or find the total selling value for each of the products data set. Then we also calculate the total buying value for each of the products in the sales data set. Then we also calculate the profit value as well as the profit margin for each of the data, as each of the products, Alright, so quickly let's move. So just like we used to do, we go to the blank reports. The data set is available, which is this here. You have data set here already. I will send the data set to you. So just as usual, we start from get data. Since we are working with Excel data set, then we import the Excel data. So we look for it on download. I just downloaded it. So then we'll get the data. So let's allow it to connect and upload. Alright, so since we only need, the data set only contain input data and that of master data, just as is shown here. Look at it, we have 2 data sets. We have the input data and the master data. So we are just only going to select those 2. Whether we select the first 2 or the second 2 is still the same thing. So let's just select the first 2 and we can move on. Now, just like I said the other time, I told you that most of anytime you have 2 or more data sets like this, there must be there must be a relationship between the 2 data sets. So the relationship between these 2 data sets is what we are going to be using to add or to join or combine the data set together. So in order to do that, we don't need to load the data directly. What we are going to do is we will transform the data. So I always employ you to use transform data to do whatever you need to do, whether you want to remove some column, you want to add column, or you want to join other things you want to do. So first of all, pick transform data first. So let's move ahead with this. So let's allow it to bring up a Power Query editor. So what we're actually going to do here now is we are going to do 3 more things. The first thing we are going to do is, okay, maybe let's do it like this. This is the first data set and it contains dates, products, quantity of each of the products, or product ID, quantity of each of the product, the sale type, mode of payment, and discount. That's the first data set. Then the second data set also have product ID. That means the relationship between the first data set here, product, and the second data is the product ID. So, and that is what we are going to be using to combine the 2 data sets. So we will have products here, which product 1 to the last number of product. Then we have the category also, then and other things like that. So here we have the buying price and the selling price and so on. So what we actually wanted to do is to calculate the 4 these 4 things. The first one is the total selling value, second one is total buying value, the profit value, and the profit margin. So those are the 4 things we want to take care of, and that's what we are going to be doing here. So without wasting much of the time, let's start. Alright, so the first thing we are going to do is to add some column. Now look at this date. For a particular date, it must have what we call a day, it must have month, and it must have year. That is what we call date. So date is day, month, and year. So we want to use the characteristic of this particular date column to add day, month, and year. And this is how we are going to do that. Now make sure that the cursor is on the date. Now let me reselect it. This is date. Select it and go to add column. You select the date, because date that is, we don't just want to see the date alone. We want to know the day, we want to know the month, and we want to know the year. We want to separate them. You understand? So now click on the date. Then the next thing is, now look at this side, from date and time. Now click on the dates, or just make sure you click towards this arrow. Then move down here. Let's start with day. Let's start with day. Then click on day. So can you see now that day column is now being added? So the next thing is, you go back again to add month, since we have a day already. So click on the date again, click on the arrow, then add month. The month is added. So now if you look at this month that is being added, you see that this month is based on numeral, that is based on number. So if you move down, you see January, February. January is represented by 1, February is represented by 2, and so on and so forth. So what we are going to do now is, we want to know the name of each of this month, whether January is 1, so we want to represent this month by their name instead of having it as number. So you go back now to the date. Click on the date, then click the draw down on the date here, and go back to months. So instead of you to pick month, then pick name of the month. So clicking the name of the month now, so scroll it down, then we have name of the month. That means anywhere you see 1, it is January. So let's move down. So 4 is April, and so on. All right, so let's move up. Now, sometimes we don't want to see a very long name like this, so we need to short this to like 3 or 4 alphabets. So what we are going to do is, you click on the month name like that. You click on the month name, then you now go to extract under from text, or you can this extract, you can extract it from here, or you can actually go to transform and pick extract from here. So you can use any of the two, either from transform extract or from add column extract. So use any one that you feel like. The two will carry out the same assignment. So we want to extract that column to the first 3 character. So let's click first character. So it will ask me for how many character, then I will reply with 3. If you reply with 4, it will be JANU. So but I want 3, so that JAN will be for January. So let's click OK. So can you see now? So JAN for January, FEB for February, APR for April, and so on. So now we have day, month, and month name. So the next one is to add the year. We want to add the year. So we'll go back to our dates. So anytime you want to add anything that relates with date, you go back to this date, then add column, go back to date, then since we are dealing with year now, go to year, then pick year. So we also have year now. So we have 2021, and so I think the data says 2021 and 2022. Yes. Okay. So now we have the new columns on the first data set. Don't forget we are having 2 data sets here. Then we also have the second one. So what we now want to do now is, we want to combine the 2 together to have a single data set instead of these 2. There's no way we are going to analyze this easily. So we need to combine the 2. So now, in order to combine this, what we are going to do now is, we go back to home. Then we'll look for where combine is. Since we want to combine the 2 data sets, make sure that you are on the first data set. So you understand, make sure you're on the first data set by clicking on it. Then come to combine and click on this arrow, then merge queries. Click on the arrow and merge queries. Now remember, while I was showing you the data set, I told you that the two data sets here has product ID. If you look at this second one as well, there's product ID. So that means the relationship between the two sheets or the two data sets is product ID. So it is that same product ID that we are going to use to combine them. So you click on this product ID, then you come back here and look for the second one. Now if you look at this one now, you see current. It means that that's the one selected already. Then this second one, which is master data, now you have it. Then click on this just like we have done, then click on the second data set product ID, and the next thing is just to click OK. So now you can see that the second data set in table has been added. So now you will now click on this angle, then remove product ID. Do you know why we have removed product ID? If you look at the two data sets, does have product ID. So the best thing is to remove one, so that we are not going to be having a conflicting product ID. That is, we are not going to be having two columns bearing product ID. So with this now, instead of two product ID, we have deselect one, so that we only have one. So you click OK, and the data set is combined. So you can see that the two data sets now is now the same thing. That is, look at the latter part of this master data selling price. Let's go to here and let's see whether it is the same thing. Yes, so master selling price, buying price. Is this master data buying price, master data selling price? All right. So this master data is just showing us that these columns were being added from a master data sheet, not originally on the input data sheet. Sorry. So now we have a complete data set. Now, instead of having two, we have a single one that we can work with. So the next thing now is, since we are done with the editing on the Power Query editor, so the next thing is to close and apply the changes that we have done. So let's allow it to load onto the desktop. So let's allow it to load. So don't be confused that the two data sets are still loading. We only need this input because that's the one that this has been added onto. So when we get there, you'll see what I'm talking about. All right. So we have our data set now. So we have the table view of it. So we have it here. So you can see that these are what we have edited. We have edited the first one and combined the two data sets. So let's see the relationship now, whether it actually really combined using the same that relationship that was available for the both data sets. So let's look at it. So click on this and see which one is really okay. Yeah, so can you see now, product ID. So we are good to go. So let's go back to report view, and don't forget, now this is the data set we are using, input data, not master data. Input data, that's the one we are using for this. So now let's go and answer the question that's being asked. That is, let's answer the first two questions now. That is, we should calculate the selling value for each product and also buying value. So now to do this, we are going to create another column that will bear the name of selling value and another one buying value. So that's what we are going to do first. So let's go back to okay, let me just give you the formula, because since we are calculating, we're supposed to have formula for our calculation. So for the first one, which is total selling value for each of the products. So the total selling value is now equals to, now if you look at, if you let me just explain through this data set. Okay, let me write the formula first, then I will explain it. Let me write the formula first. So the total selling value is now equals to sold quantity of product times unit buying price, unit buying price. So that's the formula for doing this. Calculating the total selling value is equal to the sold, that is the number of quantities sold, times the unit buying price, the unit price of each of those each of the price at which each of the product are being bought. You understand? So that's the formula, and this is the same formula that we are going to be using to calculate and create a new column. Now look at, if you look at this now, we have a buying price here, we also have a selling price. So this is supposed to be C, don't worry. So buying price and the selling price. So, and we also have, so if you look at this, the other data set here, the input data, don't forget we have combined it, but this is a raw data here, so it is the combination that we are going to be using, not this. So if you look at this, we also have the quantity as well. So that means total selling volume is now equal to this quantity sold multiplied by the unit buying price, which is this one, buying price. So that's what we are going to be doing now. So let's go there. So now let's go to table view. So we have the table view now. So the next thing to do now is we are going to add new column. Don't forget, we have to create new column for the first two questions. So creating new column, but make sure you click on this, on the data set you are using before this. So now look at this side and look at this side. This is telling us column, that is new column is coming up here. So what we are going to do here is we are going to create our own column. And what's the name of our own column? That's total selling value. That's the name of our column, which is equals to, we are going to be using the formula, don't forget, we are going to be using this formula. Don't worry, we're going to be using this formula. So total selling. So I will employ you to just write the formula down as you are typing it, so that you'll be able to see it as you are typing, whether this is still correct or not. So total selling value now is equal to sold quantity. Now how do you now do this sold quantity? We are going to call this particular sold quantity from the data set. So let me just close the head so that we have a very long or wide table. All right, so total selling price now is equal to sold quantity. So we are going to be looking for quantity. That quantity is located in a data set called input data, right? So let's look for it there. So quantity, whenever you see quantity, that's where we are going. Quantity, yes. So it is embedded inside input data and it is quantity. So quantity, then shift 8, that is multiplication in computer. So quantity, sold quantity times then unit buying price. The same unit buying price is in input data. So input, so buying price, this is buying price. So then that means we have quantity multiplied by buying price. So what you are going to do after which is click on enter. So the column has been created. So can you see now we have total selling value column. So that means the first question is being answered. So let's go to the second question. Who is being answered partially, not fully. So let's go to the second one, which is a total buying value. Total buying value, which is equal to sold quantity, or just put quantity, or you can use quantity instead of sold quantity. Just say quantity. Was better you know that the quantity is a sold quantity. So you understand? So quantity times. Now that we are talking about selling, that means there's a mistake somewhere. Sorry. This is supposed to be selling. So this is what total buying, total selling. So this is supposed to be, so sorry about that. This is supposed to be total buying. Supposed to be buying. Total buying. So sorry about that. Total buying. That's sorry. Maybe we can still continue. Total selling is still okay. Total selling. So this is supposed total buying. So this will just be multiplied by units buying. Unit buying price. So what we are going to change here is it will be, instead of buying, it will be unit selling. So this will be unit selling price. So since we are talking about total selling, it's supposed to be unit selling. That means we are going to remove this and we calculate. So let's remove this. So sorry about that. Let's remove it. Let's go back to, so let's click so this data set again. Then what we are doing now is we want to add new column. And what's the name of the column? Name of the column is total. Since the first one is now what is selling value now. Yes, total selling value. Total selling value equals to, so in quantity, which is in input data quantity. So we are looking for quantity. Is there quantity? Input data. So let's go to quantity. So quantity, then shift 8, that's multiplication, then multiply by unit selling price. Unit selling price. Input again, because it is embedded in input data. So where's the selling price? So this selling price. So input selling to selling. Okay, so you click enter now to create the column. So sorry for the mistake of the other time. So we are done with the first one. So let's answer the second question now, which is to calculate the total buying value, which is the quantity sold multiplied by units of buying price. So what we are still going to do is we'll come back to, anytime you want to create any column, click on the input data like this, then click on new column. So what's our new column? New column is buying, right? Yeah, total buying. So total buying value. So now just anytime you open new column, just click on this. You can erase it, or you can start typing, it will automatically erase itself. So equals to, what's the formula? Quantity, which is embedded in the input data. So quantity shift 8, then multiply by input data again. Then this is buying price. We started with selling price, so this is buying price. So the next thing is press enter. This column also show up. So we have total selling value and total buying value. So we have partially answered the first two questions. So let's go to the third question. So the third question is to calculate the profit. So to calculate profit, what we are going to do is we are going to create values, or we are going to create measures for what we have done. So create measure. Now the formula for calculating the profit is profit equals to total selling price minus total buying price. Total selling price minus total buying price. So what we are going to do now is, since we have created this, so the next one is go back here and click on input data, which is data we are using. So you now create new measure. Can you see what is there? Say write that expression that calculate a value. That is, we want to calculate a value. So new measure, click on the measure, not column now, is a measure. So that new measure, you can start typing now, or you can click on this to clean, any of the two, but I will just start typing. So I will just say profits equals to total buying value. So, and that total buying value is in input data. So input, since we are dealing with either, when we are dealing with minus or plus or addition or subtraction, that is a summation in mathematics. So sum, we want to sum it together. Sum, tab, click on tab, sum. Summation can be negative, it can be addition, summation can be subtraction. So click sum and tab at the left hand side of the keyboard. That's the third row after escape. So then look for total selling value. You can also type inputs to make it more simple. Input data. No, we just created total selling value, which is this. Click it, then minus. So the next one is minus input. Okay, now this is it. If you have typed this and you see that this is not working, what you are going to do is that you want to use sum again. So let's close this one. Close it. You can see that there's a red here, there's a red color. This red color is indicating that there's an error. So which, if you have opened a bracket, you must close it back. So minus another sum, then tab. So what is total? Then the next one is we are looking for the input data, then total what? Selling. Total selling minus total buy. So then close the bracket as well. Then click enter. So you can see that we have the profit here now. We are creating value and measure here, not column. So you can see this here. Then the next one is, go back to this. Let's create the percentage Okay, last question. Don't let me say anything. Let's calculate the last question. The last question is saying profit margin, which is percentage profit or profit percentage. So profit percentage now is equal to profits all over total buying value. Total buying profit over total buying value. Profit over total buying value. So let's click on the data set we are using. Click on new measure, and you can start typing immediately. Profit margin, profit percentage equals to profit. Do you know why I did not add input? I didn't add input data because I created a measure, not column. I created a measure, not column. I didn't mean that I created column. That means I will have looked for it in the column, I mean in the data set, but this measure is not in the data set, so it is just a measure. So when you create a measure, it's a temporal measure. It's not really embedded, but it's just somewhere around the data set. So you click on the profit like this, just so you have it. Then divided by, so total buying value, right? So total buying value is embedded in the input. Divided by some inputs, total buying value. Sorry, not price. Total buying value, not price. Total buying value. Input data, total buying value. So you can close the bracket, then click enter. So we also have the profit margin here as well. So now at this junction, we are done with editing this data set. So what we need to do now is to have the visual aspects of this. Let's have a visual aspect of this. So that's what we are going to be doing. So, and to do that now, we are going to go back to report view. Go back to the report view, which is where we are going to be using the visualization charts. All right. So what we are going to, the first thing we are going to make view of is, since we have actually calculated we have calculated for four variables, or we have actually solved 4 problems now. So we can actually fill them now and see what they are. So let's first of all, okay, before we create a slice, let's just fill them first. So let's look at the profits. All right, so for this now, you can use slice. Where is slice? Yes, this slice. Or okay, let's use card visual. Where's card? One with 1, 2, 3. We have it here. Okay, sorry, this is it. So now, so you can see now that we have the profits of this. We have profits of this. So that means the profit for the whole of this, that's the summation of total profit, is 360.544 thousand pounds, dollar, naira, or whatever the currency is. So Now we can actually also look for. Okay, let me place the other one as well, which is so let me just copy Control C, then Control V, so I can place them side by side. Let me change this for profit margin. So now we can see the profit margin. That is, profit margin for this is just 1%, 1.08. That's 1%. So we can decide to also okay. We can decide to also change how this thing look. We can remove the decimal point. When you click on this, what you are going to do is come to visualization here, click on this, then you can check this, so these decimal places can be changed to 0, so you get. So you can also come here as well and change this one to 0, so you have 361. It will automatically approximate it, so you understand now. So that means the first question is to calculate the profit. That's the third question. The fourth one is the profit margin. So the first question, which is to calculate the total quantity, the total selling price. So now I think there's a particular mistake I made. So let's go back there. For calculating the selling price, the total selling value. So we're supposed to take away discount. Sometimes when you sell, you also give discount, and there's discount in our data. So let's just go there. There's no issue with it. What you are going to do is just that go to the selling, this total selling value. So just click it, then come here and just add minus, then open bracket 1 minus. Now discount is in this, so just add input data, then discount. So minus discount, then close the bracket. So for putting it updated, you can also update it. There's no big deal there. Just say that total selling value is equal to sold quantity, or quantity times unit selling price, multiplied by 1 minus discount. So this is supposed to be multiplication. So multiply by 1 minus discount. So then click enter. It will automatically update the value. So the value should have been updated now. Alright, so let's go back to the report view here. So then we have the total buying value at this. Then we have the total selling value at this. So and we have profit like that. So I don't know why the profit margin is now giving me 0. I don't know why it's now giving me 0. I don't understand. Maybe 0 point something. Let me edit and see whether it is. So let me change this to. Okay, I think I understand now. It is a 0.2 whatever. So that's the reason. I cannot be 0 now. I was surprised. So let's just leave it like that. 0.21. So 0.21%. Is 0.21% profit margin. And so now we have answered the 4 questions. The first question says that we should calculate the total selling value, and the formula for calculating it is quantity sold multiplied by unit, multiplied by unit selling price multiplied by discount, which multiplied by 1 minus discount. So, and they also calculate the total buying value for each of the product, which is given as total buying value is equal to quantity times unit buying. Then to calculate the profit, this is the formula, and to also calculate the profit margin or percentage of profits. So the 4 questions are the answer, and that is what you have here. So in the next class, we will just try and format this and add small and add small pepper to this, so that it will be, the aroma will be more what does aroma does now? Sweet aroma, so that the aroma will be more sweeter, like Sarah's soup or Jumi's stew. I don't know whether I'm right or wrong. No wahala sha. So let's leave it here. See you some other time.